Hey everybody, my name's Robert. Welcome back to my channel, Barter Hordes. It's Monday early evening, and this is my Friday Reads video. I have just not been in the mood to make any videos. I don't feel like I'm in a routine right now, and everything's just kind of, I don't know, it's all kind of conspiring together. Between the cesspool that our current political scene is in, between frustrations with my decorator and getting moved in. I still have nothing in my master bedroom, and Ashley says it's going to be like a couple more weeks before they get the wallpaper. I'm to the point where I don't even care. Just leave the wallpaper out. Just get me moved in. I still don't have my desk chair, so I've got a nice desk to work at, but nothing to sit on. I'm missing rugs. Curtains still aren't installed. There's some holes in the ceiling and the walls where the electrician had run some wires to add some new lighting fixtures in the dining area. Those haven't been patched or repaired. So I feel like nothing's happening at the house right now, and it's really frustrating me. I've moved in, or I closed a little over a month ago, and not much has happened since the closing, since that first week of the closing. So I'm frustrated there, not to mention the fact that the word budget is not in her dictionary. She has just destroyed any semblance of a budget and keeps what I feel like is nickel and diming me to death. I just want it done. I just want it done, and I want them out of my life. I want to be able to feel like I can move into my house. So that's going on. And I've just been kind of frustrated with a lot of things, and I'm in a funk. I'm in a reading funk, and so I've lost my cherub-like demeanor. And so I just haven't felt like making any videos, and nothing seems to be changing that direction right now. So I'm going to do a real quick recap of what I've been reading, what I have to read, and there's a whole stack of books. I don't know if you can see behind me. There's a big stack of books on the table behind me, all from the library, that if I don't get started on soon, they're going to be demanding I return them quickly, because they're all ones that other people have on reserve lists too, so I can't even renew them. Okay, so let's talk about what I have read recently. I finished Louis de Bernier's So Much Life Left Over, which was just okay. I have not read his Corelli's Mandolin, and I like his writing style enough that I probably would consider reading it even after reading this one. This is a story about a group of people, a group of Brits, after World War I and between World War I and World War II, essentially, trying to reclaim lives and figuring out what they're going to do and not having things mesh well. And it's how the different characters fall in and out of each other's lives. And it was okay. I just felt it was too scattered, and so I never really got into it. That may also be a function of the chaos here at home. It may also be a function of that I've been reading for the last couple of months several books at one time, which I'm not sure is really a good plan for me. I'm going to go back to reading on the light side again, reading one book at a time for a little while, and see if that makes things a little bit better for me. If not, I'll go right back to the dark side, because I was at least reading a lot when I was reading on the dark side. The book I finished after the Louis de Bernier was actually a good read, and that was a buddy read I did with Amy Poole. We've kind of formed our own two-person Jane Austen fan club, and we read Emma together. And I thought I had read Emma years ago, but I had not. It was new to me. It seems like every time I read Austen, I end up reading Pride and Prejudice, because it's the book I used to teach quite often. And so I kept going back to it again and again and ignoring some of her other books. And I went ahead and bought her 6 major novels, her 6 recognized adult novels, not too terribly long ago. And I read Northanger Abbey. And of course, I reread Pride and Prejudice, and now I've read Emma. I know Amy has read a couple of the other ones, but I think Mansfield Park is one that we have in common that we haven't read. So we may buddy read that one, maybe later in the fall, do that together. But Emma was okay. I don't like it as much as Pride and Prejudice, because I think it lacks some of the humor, the wit, and the satire that you see in Pride and Prejudice. It is a later book of Jane Austen's. In fact, it's the last book that she took completely through writing and publication before she died. She wrote one more book after that, but she didn't take that last one all the way through publication before she passed away. And you can see that it's a mature writing style, but it's not as funny. It's not as satirical in some ways as Pride and Prejudice is. But it's one of those books that you don't like Emma, the main character, for about half the book. She doesn't deserve you liking her. She's not a very nice person. She's spoiled. She thinks much too highly of herself and her position within their small community. And she does things to other people that are to their harm, even though that wasn't her intention. But as she grows throughout the book, it's a pretty amazing feat that Jane Austen can take a character whom you do not like in the first half and make you love her by the end. That's pretty impressive, and that's what happened for me, and I think to some degree for Amy as well. So Emma turned out to be a pleasure read after it started off being kind of a struggle for me. And then the most recent book is one of the library books that I had reserved and checked out, and that is R.O. Kwon's The Incendiaries. And this has been an internet and booktube darling. Everybody's raved about how good it is, and I just wasn't that impressed. I mean, it's interesting. It's the story of two young people who meet and fall in love in college. She is carrying around the guilt from having been the driver in an accident where she lost control of her car and her mother died and she was basically unhurt. So she's always carried around that guilt. And she's become a bit of a party girl in college. She doesn't take anything seriously. She doesn't go to class. She just goes out dancing and drinking. He is somebody who has recently lost his faith and has had to leave a Bible college and come to this university, and they meet at university. And she ends up getting wrapped up in what can only be described, and what the other characters describe in the book, as a cult. And he's trying to save her from the cult by pretending to join and seeing what they're up to, and then it goes on from there. And it's kind of an interesting premise, but I just wasn't all that taken with the characters or the writing. It just, I don't know, I didn't feel about it like I did about some other books that I've read recently. I don't remember if I've talked about The Court Dancer on this channel or not, but if I haven't, Hyung Suk Shin's latest novel to be translated into English is The Court Dancer. It just came out in America recently, but it's been out, I think, for 10 years now in Korea. And it's the story of a young lady who becomes a court dancer, the most famous court dancer at the court in Korea, in Seoul, Korea, in the late 19th century. I was fascinated originally, as I've mentioned on this channel a couple times, because I've been doing research on the Queen at that particular time in Korea's history. And the Queen does show up as a pretty important character in this novel, although it's not about the Queen. It's about the dancer. But I was just blown away by this book. I thought it was so touching. I know Matthew Sharapa has talked about it a lot, and actually did an event recently with the author, and has also done a video with the translator, Anton Hur, who did a great job. It doesn't feel like it's a translation. It just feels like a seamless narrative. And that, I think, may be partly responsible for my book slump, because it was so good that nothing I've read since then has really lived up to that. Currently, I'm reading 2 books, or I'm trying to finish 2 books because I want them out of my life. One of them is a book club selection for September, and that is Mary Renault's Fire from Heaven, which is a book about the young Alexander the Great, which I'm really interested in. I love historical fiction, and I don't know that much about Alexander's life. But I'm just really turned off by the writing style. It's half novel, half archive of every trivial fact and historical name and place and event she can remember reading jammed into one book, and the narrative just does not hold together. She doesn't explain half the things that she assumes that the reader knows, and somebody like me, I'm not a stupid reader, but I don't know that particular era very well. She doesn't give me any of the material I need to appreciate the story she's trying to tell. And then in the few scenes that she does develop into pretty dramatic scenes, she undercuts them by immediately going off into a tangent about something that's not really relevant to the story. And I just find the whole thing very frustrating. I still have about 80 pages and it's killing me. I've got to finish that book and get it out of my life. And I feel pretty much the same way about Robert Penn Warren's All the King's Men, which I've been reading recently, and I'm probably about 60% of the way done. I mentioned, I think in another video, that this book could be a novella. He could cut out 500 pages of fluff and the narrative would be more powerful. But he's so self-indulgent when he's writing about whatever flights of fancy he goes off on. And I'm not there for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. So I'm really frustrated. I want both of those books out of my life. Now, I have, I think it's 7 or 8 books from the library that I've got to get to. I just received 2 books recently from Knopf, the first real book mail I've received as a booktuber. So thank you, Knopf, for sending those 2 books to me. Those 2 are, the one everybody's talking about right now is Washington Black, and the other one is by William Boyd called Love is Blind. I like William Boyd, so I was looking forward to that. I also still have 4 books from the Decatur Book Festival that I picked up and have not read any of them yet. One is Spencer Wise's The Emperor of Shoes. Another one is Rebecca Mackay's The Great Believers, which is getting a lot of notice all over the place. The third one is Lucy Tan's What We Were Promised. And the fourth one is Akhil Kumarasamy, I think is how she says it, Half Gods. And I haven't read any of those. So those are waiting for me. And then the library books, and several of these I'm anxious to get to really quickly, but I'm determined to get these other 2 books out of my life first. Delia Owens' book, Where the Crawdads Sing. I think it's set in North Carolina, and I'm hearing a lot of good things from other booktubers that I know who have liked it, so I'm looking forward to that. T. Greenwood's Rust and Stardust. Don't know anything about it other than I just keep seeing it places, so I put it on reserve. Christina Dalcher's Vox. And then these next couple I've heard about a lot on BookTube. It's Ingrid Rojas Contreras' Fruit of the Drunken Tree, Vanessa Hua's A River of Stars, and let's see, Tsitsi Dangaremga? No, not even close on that last name, I'm afraid. This Mournable Body. And then the last one is Anne Youngson's Meet Me at the Museum, which is the first one that I need to get to because it's due the first at the library. So I'm in a slump. I don't feel like I'm really moved into my house yet, and that's making me cranky. I don't have all my bookcases, so I can't even unpack all my books other than just to stack them on the floor, which makes me even more cranky. So there's all these little things that have conspired to just make me not really care about much. And now I'm noticing there's spots all over here from sun and shade. I can't be bothered to reshoot it or try to edit those out, so just deal with them. So there you have it. Not very happy-go-lucky today. I'm just not happy with the world. All right, I hope your week is off to a better start than mine is. It's only Monday, and this week already feels like it's gone on too long. And I'll talk to you again soon. Bye.